Cook, you're always so eager to get carried away, aren't you? Miranda sneered. For a family that's not rich, maybe you shouldn't be enjoying this trip on my husband's money. Miranda, my sister-in-law, directed that snobby comment at our family. We were all in Hawaii on vacation, including her. Why would she say something so rude? My brother, who's a doctor, planned this trip, and she shouldn't complain given his generosity. But even though she annoys me, I can't say anything back because she's my sister-in-law. I was thinking about how to lighten the mood when suddenly, paft hada haga haga. My mom's laughter completely changed the atmosphere. My name is Elisa, and I'm 20 years old. I'm an ordinary college student at a private university's school of education. I want to become a child care worker. My days are full of assignments, hands-on training, and part-time jobs. I work hard because of my family's support. I live with my parents. My dad works in an office, and my mom has a part-time job at a nearby bakery, just a typical American family. I find a lot of comfort in our normal family life. Besides my parents, I have an older brother, John, who is 8 years older than me. He graduated from a state medical school and works at the same hospital where our maternal grandfather is the director. Even though my brother is very accomplished, my parents, especially my mom, always support my dreams without comparing us. My mom is particularly thoughtful and considerate. She once told me, "You know, Elisa, it doesn't matter if your family is successful." My dad was a doctor too, but I chose to go to culinary school after high school. "Didn't you ever think about taking over Grandpa's practice?" I asked. "Darling, I was never interested in being a doctor. The responsibility of people's lives was just too much for me," she chuckled. "But you were an only child. Maybe Grandpa secretly wanted you to." "Maybe so, but it's my life, right?" And now, with John being a doctor, everything turned out okay. My father's just happy that one of his grandchildren has followed in his footsteps. I guess that's true. I don't think Mom ever intended to slight my grandfather. She chose her own happiness, marrying my father instead of taking over the family practice. Now that John's a doctor and works at Grandpa's hospital, there's no worry about his successor. It makes me realize that my mom has been through a lot. Because of her experiences, she's very supportive of me. Normally, with a brother who's a doctor, there might be expectations on me. But my mom never expects anything specific from me, nor has she ever abandoned me. She just believes in letting me be me and John be John. My dad feels the same way. When I told him I wanted to become a child care worker, he didn't hesitate and just said, "Give it your best shot." I'm really lucky to have such supportive parents. Knowing their background, it's no surprise that John is also laid back. Despite being a doctor, he's humble and always encourages my dreams. Just the other day, after I finished my training, he called me. "Hey Elisa, you finished your training today, right? Well done." "Thanks, John. It was tough this time. I was working with 2-year-old toddlers." "Turbo twos, huh? It's amazing how you handle multiple kids at once. I really admire that." "Oh, come on, what you do, taking care of people's lives, is way more impressive." "You think? It's a bit awkward getting a compliment from my little sis. Haha." "Stop being so shy. Thanks for calling." "You bet. We'll hang out soon." Suddenly, a chilly voice from the other end asked, "Who are you talking to?" Ignoring the voice, John quickly said, "Catch you later," and hung up. It was Miranda, John's wife. It seems she doesn't like him talking on the phone. There have been times, whenever I hear her voice in the background while talking to John, he always ends the call as soon as she speaks up. It's clear she might be controlling towards him. I've always wondered why someone as kind as John married Miranda. Needless to say, I'm not fond of my sister-in-law. From the first time she visited our home for introductions, my impression of her was terrible. It was just me, John, and her at home since my parents hadn't returned yet. As soon as John stepped out, she turned on me. "What's your name again?" "Duh. Nice to meet you. I'm Elisa, John's sister." "Haha, that's funny. John is quite handsome, but you look nothing like him, huh?" "Oh. What?" "Elisa, right? Which university?" "Probably a state university aiming to become a doctor like John, right?" "No, I'm at a private university aiming to be a preschool teacher." As soon as I said that, her eyes widened in surprise. "What? A preschool teacher?" she exclaimed, covering her mouth with her hand. "Wow, I'm shocked. How does the sister of a doctor end up wanting to be a preschool teacher?" "Oh. What do you mean by that?" "Just what I said. Oh. Your parents must feel sorry. They have a brilliant son, and then there's you, wanting to be a preschool teacher. Lol. That's not true. My parents fully support my dream." "Seriously? Do you really think they're supporting you?" "No way, right?" "Oh, do they just have low expectations for you?" "As long as they have brilliant John, that's all that matters to them." "Oh. That's not true." She said these hurtful things casually, leaving me at a loss for words. When John returned to the living room, she switched back to her cold demeanor towards him. Later, when Mom and Dad came home and exchanged greetings, she stayed distant, mostly interacting with John. My brother must really like Miranda because he always praised her, calling her incredibly kind and saying she makes calm, rational decisions. Our parents probably didn't know how to respond to John's high praise of Miranda. The next month, John and Miranda got married and became a couple officially. When they announced it, I casually asked my mom, "Mom, why did John choose Miranda?" "Why do you ask?" "Well, to be honest, she's not exactly pleasant, right? John may say she's kind, but maybe that's only when he's around. Look, if John is serious about her, we can't oppose it." "I guess so. As a family, John's happiness is what matters most. So Lisa, will you support John?" "Yeah. I understand. If John's happy with Miranda, I won't complain. But their marriage affects all of us. She's my sister-in-law now, and for my parents, she's their daughter-in-law. I can't help but worry about our future relationship given her attitude." A year after their marriage, Miranda's attitude hadn't changed. She would get annoyed when John and I talked on the phone. She often didn't come to family gatherings, leaving just my brother. Even when they did attend together on special occasions, she stayed on her phone and didn't engage in conversation. I had mixed feelings about her behavior, but they were married, and it wasn't my place to intervene. All I could do was hope for my brother's happiness. Then one day, when I got home from college, my mom suddenly said with a big grin on her face, "Elisa, we're going to Hawaii." "Kauai, yes, with John and Miranda, the whole family." "Why all of a sudden, and why not somewhere closer, but Hawaii?" I asked. "Well, it turns out John suggested this trip," she explained. "John did?" According to Mom, John wanted to make up for not spending enough time with the family in the past. Since Dad was turning 55 and Mom 50, reaching these milestones, he thought it was a good opportunity for a family trip. That's what my parents suggested. If we're going, we all want to go together, and that's how we decided on Hawaii. After hearing the plan, I asked my mom the question that had been bothering me the most. I mean, I'm excited about going to Hawaii, but isn't Miranda going to have a problem with all of us going together? "You'd think so, right?" But she surprisingly seemed on board with it, saying, "I'd love to go to Hawaii." "Really?" "Miranda has always wanted to visit Hawaii, so since she's on board, let's all enjoy it together, right?" "Sounds good. I've never been to Hawaii, so I'm super excited." And just like that, we decided to head to Hawaii in 2 months. The thought of Miranda joining us did bring some mixed feelings, but the excitement of the trip overshadowed them. 2 months later, we met John and Miranda at the airport and boarded our flight. My parents and I sat together, while John and Miranda were seated separately in the back. Since my brother made all the reservations for this trip, it was clear their seating arrangement was intentional, probably at Miranda's insistence. At the airport, she only spoke with my brother and didn't greet us. For her, it seemed strictly a vacation with her husband. Both my parents noticed Miranda's attitude, but they didn't let it bother them and seemed to be thoroughly enjoying the trip. My mom even suggested to John, "Why don't you two go sightseeing on your own?" Thanks to my mom's suggestion, I was able to enjoy the trip without worrying too much about my sister-in-law. But then something happened. That evening, after coming back from sightseeing, my parents and I met John and Miranda for dinner at our hotel. Miranda only spoke to my brother as usual. My brother, looking a bit troubled, tried to start a conversation with me. "Hey Elisa, how's it going? This is your first time in Hawaii, right?" "Yeah, I've only seen it on TV, so it's really amazing to be here." "I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm happy we decided on Hawaii." "Thanks for suggesting this trip, John. I'm having such a great time." "Yeah, but this trip was..." Just as my brother started to speak, Miranda interrupted with a sarcastic comment and glared at me. There was an awkward silence after her remark. Then Miranda mockingly said, "Cook, always so quick to get carried away, aren't you?" "Miranda, don't call me by my name," I snapped. Why are you saying that?" I stammered, taken aback by Miranda's harsh words. "Excuse me? Why would I want to be close to his sister, who's training to be a preschool teacher? With a father who's an office worker and a mother who works part-time? I only need John." "Hold on, that's not fair," I protested. "For a family that's not well off, maybe you shouldn't be living it up on my husband's dime." In that moment, anger and shock froze my thoughts. I couldn't find words to counter what she said. It's not that I couldn't respond, I was just so taken aback that I didn't know what to say. My dad and John seemed just as stunned. They stared at Miranda with mouths agape, while she busied herself with her phone. Suddenly my mom burst into laughter. "Paffed, ha ha ha." "Mom," I exclaimed. Sorry, my mom said, still chuckling. "It's just too funny, I couldn't help it. Lol." Seeing my mom laugh, Miranda's face instantly darkened. Clearly upset, she snapped at my mom, "Excuse me, what's so funny?" "I'm sorry, Miranda dear, it's just that my stomach hurts from laughing. The irony. Coming on this trip riding on someone else's dime and acting like this? Well, maybe I'll just head back then. Oh. What? Miranda was stunned. My mom stood up and signaled to my dad and me. Let's go. We were surprised by my mom's response, but we followed her lead and left the table. Miranda seemed annoyed but didn't say anything as we walked away. Suddenly, John stood up, raising his voice at Miranda. Hey, that was way out of line. What, John? She asked, clearly taken aback. Apologize to Mom, to my family. I had never seen this side of John before. He was always at Miranda's beck and call, but now he was furious. Miranda appeared rattled and tense. Hold on, John, what's gotten into you? You've always had my back. I supported you because I chose you, but I've had enough. I can't deal with your self-centered attitude anymore. Why? Why all of a sudden? It's clear that this trip happened because of Mom. I had planned to cover everything, but Mom ended up paying for everyone, including us. No way. Your mom did that? I was surprised by this revelation. John had claimed to be covering the expenses, but apparently Mom had secretly paid for everything and told John to keep it quiet. Even Dad, who was usually in the loop, believed John was footing the bill and was equally shocked. Miranda, speechless, listened as John delivered his final blow. Thanks to the mom you always mocked, I got the job at the hospital, which supports us all. Don't you understand? What do you mean? Why bring your mom into this? Have you forgotten already? The head of the hospital where I work is my mom's dad. No, you're lying. I knew it. I always thought you weren't interested in my family. You never really listened, did you? You just wanted to marry a doctor like me, didn't you? No, that's not true. I mean, yes, I wanted a better life, but that doesn't mean I disregarded you, John. Miranda reached out, but John forcefully pushed her hand away. His anger was palpable, his gaze icy and intense. Don't play games with me. I didn't marry you to be used. I was foolish to marry you, deceived by your motives, but I did love you sincerely, Miranda, yet you insulted my family. Wait, John, I promise I'll. It's too late. Even if you change now, your hurtful nature won't. I won't spend my life with someone who looks down on my family. It's not my parents who should leave, it's you, Miranda. Miranda's face drained of color as John's words hit her hard. Tears welled up in her eyes as she pleaded with him. Please wait, John. I'm begging you, forgive me. I'll do anything. But John's expression remained cold and unmoved. Without saying another word or reacting harshly, he continued to stare at her with a cold demeanor. Unable to bear the tension any longer, the next day, Miranda left the country alone. Later, I learned they divorced, with an agreement that Miranda would never contact John again. There was no division of assets, and it was as if her insults had never happened. However, Miranda's fixation on John grew troubling. She reportedly even showed up at his workplace, prompting John to involve the police, resulting in a restraining order against her. Now living under her parents' watchful eyes, Miranda leads a secluded life. It seems unlikely we'll see her again. Our parents also seem relieved. The happiness of our family remains the most important thing to us all. This experience has once again reminded us of that.